connection and everything is good.
My do not disturb.
Of course, take your time, no problem. Just waiting for her to see it. Give me 1 second.
And I'm putting on my do not disturb.
Perfect.
Button.
Thank you. No problem. So we are going to start the show. I will come back with a 30-second countdown and introduce you.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you soon. Good evening, everyone. Today's Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Welcome to the Dani Perro Show. Here we're in the home studio again tonight. We're so excited to have the beautiful, the wonderful, the lady of the blues, Miss Freddye, joining us today. So thank you so much for your time and your patience for being with us. We're grateful to have you.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I am so excited to know a lot more about you versus what your biography is, because when you hear and see Lady of the Blues, as we know that's one of your songs as well, we want to know who is Lady of the Blues, who is Miss Freddye. So we're going to get to that a little bit tonight, especially with all, our guests and listeners tuning in. So thank you again.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
I want to get started a little bit. With music, I know that you grew up in church.
Yes.
And getting a feel for whether it was hymns or different verses and songs that you used to sing as well, probably with your mom. And was it siblings?
My siblings, well, actually, and I didn't realize my siblings were into music till we became adults.
Okay.
I didn't realize my brother could sing until we became adults, and he's not into singing anymore. It's, so it was pretty much me, doing that growing up. So yeah. My mother didn't sing either. She didn't play an instrument.
Okay. So then you getting a feel for it and doing it a lot in church and getting that, something that feels comfortable in what you like to do and share with the world. Kind of then, did you feel like it was more of, how do you feel like it came to you in that sort of, if you're thinking about the situation when you first started singing in church?
You know what? I started singing in church at 15, but before that, I used to pretend to sing with a neighborhood friend, and we would pretend we're singing in front of, thousands of people, and that came natural to me. And at 15, I had my first solo in church, and I have to say it was terrible.
What?
So,
I'm sure it wasn't.
oh my God. Oh, it was terrible. That's where my stage fright came in. But throughout the years, I would still attend church and I would sing in the choir.
Okay.
Didn't do a solo. I did, background singing, and I was okay with that. And I loved doing it because I would watch the people, the congregation, and how, the music would just take them to another level. And they were really into it, and especially what it represented.
Did you get into choir and stuff at your church?
I did. When I was 15, I did, and then I dropped out.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was with the solo, right?
Well, yeah. They were like, "Oh, you're ready," and I'm like, "No, I'm not ready," because I've never had vocal lessons in my life, never.
Oh, okay.
And this is all self, listening and watching and listening again. But over the years, the areas that I would move to, I would find a church, and I would join the church and I would join the choir. So that's where all that came from.
Okay, well, I love that though, because that was also you getting in a kind of feel for what you wanted to put out there. Now, when you were in the choir versus singing a lot of hymns and gospel, godly music, was that's something that you felt like that was your calling. Where then did you look into blues?
I didn't really feel that was my calling, singing in the choir, and I stumbled onto singing blues
Oh, okay.
years later. Yeah, years later in 1996. I love singing. I would love to sing to my kids. And so my favorite song to sing to both of my kids when they were babies, toddlers, was Silent Night. Everyone should know Silent Night.
Oh yeah,
And I would sing
definitely.
it, yeah, a cappella. And then I was dating a bass player, and he heard me sing Silent Night to my youngest, and he's like, and we had grown up together. And he's like, I didn't know you sang. And I said, I didn't know I could sing either. And he said, well, we're looking for a singer. And I could just feel the, oh no, please, not me. And of course, and he's like, oh, just come and try out. If you don't want to, you don't have to accept, but do it for me. So I
Okay.
said, sure. So I went to audition, and here I am.
So then, all
It
right,
was it was a funny, interesting audition. So
let me
yeah.
ask you that. So that's what I wanted to ask next. When you went to the audition, how did it go? Because you said you had stage fright. Now, this was stage fright when you were younger, or was this when you were also to this day?
Oh, this is to this day. But but
Okay.
but back but back then, what happened was, the band was in one room and they had 100-foot cord. And so I took the microphone, I went into the bathroom, which was next to the room, closed the door, turned on the water, and just started singing something.
Okay.
And the gentleman that was the manager, of the band, and the mentor, Big Al Levitt, he loved what I was doing. And he said, your voice, you could go places with it, just try it out. If you don't like it, you
Mhm.
don't have to stay. So I said to myself, why don't I just try it? And I was scared to death, I'm telling you, for a whole year. So I got in a band, and for a whole year, the band would face the audience, and I would sit in a chair, sitting behind my boyfriend, the bass player,
Okay.
facing the wall. I did that for a whole year.
You know
I
what, though,
said,
Miss Freddie, Miss Freddie, I wanted to make you sure that you're aware of this, whether you have stage fright or not. I mean, it's something that you obviously have to shake off eventually when you have that self, the confidence to say that,
right,
hey, that doesn't bother me anymore. Even to this day, a lot of musicians, like I don't know if you know that much about like Sia and different people out there in the industry, you only hear their voice. You don't really even see them in their music videos. Now, you don't know if they don't like their voice. You don't know if they don't
right,
like showing their face. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's
Yes,
definitely when you're showing your voice as who you are. If you have to
yes,
sing on a wall and have like, beautiful clothes and stuff, and we're just seeing the behind of you, it's how
yes,
you feel comfortable. You should never let anyone try to change you for that. Eventually, we want you
yes,
to get over your stage fright. That's a huge goal, right? So we'll get into that eventually. But you learning and wanting to sing and portraying yourself singing in front of groups of people, you're already doing it. You're doing it slower.
I am. I am. I am. And it's very interesting because after a year, Big Al said, people want to hear you sing. And I said, well, they already hear me sing. And he says, no, people have been asking who you are. They want to see you.
Oh, yeah.
And it took me years and I understand that. I do, because me, when I go to a concert, I want to see what's going on up on that stage. I want to see everybody. And
Yes.
so I finally tapered it down some by saying to myself, I pretend I'm sitting in that audience and I say, my friends told me about you. I heard about you. I'm not into blues like all of that. I paid this money. I have to go to work. You need to keep me here for an hour. Like, I became my own worst critic doing that. And
Well,
it works.
okay. I mean, if
It
it works that
works.
way, I feel like that's so negative on your part, though. Like, it might be great because you're learning from it, right? So eventually, you want to change your
Yes.
negativity into positivity. Where like watching yourself from the outside, being in the audience, and you're saying, "Wow, I can sing really well, and I can headline, and I can't wait to open up for name celebrity here." and I can't wait to make that money just like they are and go on tour. And that's the positivity that you want, right? That's what you want to portray after the negative aspect. But you're using it right now as you just want to be your own critic because you're still building your confidence. You're still trying to build that huge inner shell that when you get past that, it's your real true self, you know? So we're trying to cut that down a little so we can get you to be yourself.
Right. And you know what? It has worked. I'm more comfortable and it doesn't bother me because I also found out I'm really into the audience and the audience is really into what I'm doing along with my
Of course.
bands.
Yes, exactly.
So it's very important how I choose the songs that I'm singing, whether it's cover or my originals. And it depends upon the venue because I look at all of that and a lot of people, they're like, that's a lot of awful work. I said, not really. I'm so used to it. I'm very methodical about it. I'm so used to it. It comes natural. And I said, I will talk to people in the audience before the show, during my break, after the show. People will come up and say, hey, you know that one song you were singing? They don't remember the title, but they may remember like certain words or my emotion into it.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and yes, and that's what I want to do. And I love doing is connecting with my audience. Because I tell people at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about you guys out here. I said it's about you connecting, feeling the music, wanting more from me. And it makes me work even harder, knowing that that's happening.
And also growing, right? That's a huge part of an artist. You want to grow into different, aspects into a musician's life. So whether or not you have the stage fright, whether or not you want to open for a big person or, headline with them on tour and be invited to go on tour for, like a certain tri-county tour date, it's these type of things that you want to manifest, I should say.
Right.
Have you heard about manifest, Miss Freddie?
Yeah, you talk about opening for people, and I've opened up for a couple blues folks, and I have to tell you, they are the nicest people. And my latest one was about 2-3 months ago. Coco Montoya, he's the nicest person, and we talked about everything else but music. We did some, after the show music, but talked about other things.
Exactly.
And it was just nice to sit down and talk to someone and just share some things that you have in common. And it's like, this is so cool. Because a lot of people think these folks that are national, international stars, they're kind of snobbish. Actually, they're not.
Yeah.
They're really not. They're down to earth and they are so bombarded by their fans and, people who have been following them for years, listen to their music, and people just kind of want a piece of them. So
definitely. I was going to say that's actually a huge part for you though, too, right?
It is.
When we get back, I want to talk a little bit about the band too, how you first got started and, being the lead singer and everything. But going back to when you got a chance to sit down and talk to Coco or, just get an idea of who the person was, right? And you got to know them on a deeper level versus being a musician, maybe that you love, like, you're a good fan of them and they're a fan of you. You get the idea to sit down and actually see it's a human being, not a celebrity. And I feel like a lot of us in the industry, or even me just being the interviewer here, radio show host, that comes upon time where it's not the same thing. It just feels different because it goes over our head, right? So me talking to you, you could be, a huge celebrity musician in the industry that the whole world knows. But to me, I'm getting to know you. I only would get to know you for this interview. You don't get the opportunity to sit down with somebody, whether or not it's VIP, because it feels like it's rushed,
Right.
It's the opportunity that you get a chance to sit down with somebody and you forget about music. You talk to them like they're a human being. They've been through it. You've been through it. You make a lot of interest and, comments that you both have make you laugh, that type of thing. That's the beauty of it. And I think a lot of us, even in the industry, we forget about that, right? We
Right.
forget that
Right.
we're all humans and we all have, heartaches and heartbreaks and everything like that. And you have good
Right.
days and bad days. It doesn't
Right.
come out like that in the industry. It makes us all seem like
Right.
either we're robots, we're plastic, and we're just like, you know what I mean? Like in the industry itself. So we just have to remember that. And I think that's a huge part that you get the opportunity to sit down and talk to somebody on the low level. Of course, music is a
Right.
huge, you might want to do a collaboration with them down the line, right? But
Right.
sitting down, getting to know the person, you make a friend. What is that friend going to do for you? I rest my
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. You hit on, a lot of great points and key points, and I love it. And, I used to be starstruck with one person that I that I've gone to see, and it's Tab Benoit. I just absolutely love him, hands down. And he came to Pittsburgh and he performed at a venue, and I actually got to talk to him. And you know what? We didn't talk about music. We talked about things that he was, well, with people interrupting, but it was okay because I understood. And he actually apologized, and I said, "Trust me, I understand." I said, "Because it kind of happens to me too, although I'm not there on that level with you, but I do understand." But we talked about things that we are passionate about as far as helping others. And when I told him that I was a nurse and this is what I do and things that happen to me, I mean, his attention was like full force. And I can respect that. And as a matter of fact, anybody, like I've opened up for Studebaker John out of Chicago, the
wow.
guy gardens. I love it. I'm like, I said, you're talking to the wrong person. I am not the green thumb in the family. And he laughed. So it is very nice to talk to people who have experience in life about certain things, whether it's cooking, gardening, charity work, taking care of the grandkids, taking care of the kids, whatever you do,
Mhm.
outside of music. And musicians like that. They like that a lot, and I'm finding that even local musicians that I've had a chance to perform with, even my bandmates, there's some things that I didn't know after all these years, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, you
I
know
have the
them
deer in the
in
headlights. I'm like,
talent.
how come I didn't know that?
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. See, like even at this interview, I didn't know you were a nurse. I'm guessing that's probably what you do on the back end of being a full-time musician, right?
Actually, I'm a full-time nurse and a three-quarters of a time musician.
Well, you don't see
because
it like that.
because I need the health insurance. Well, and plus I love what I do. I absolutely love being a nurse, hands down. And I always get that question of the year. If you could do it all over again, I said I would be a nurse, hands down. I said it's my calling, and I said I have incorporated music and nursing a few times.
That's
And
amazing.
I said because
I'm excited
they
to hear
both do the same thing. They're healers. Music heals and nursing heals, to a point. So yeah, I've been a nurse for a long time. I love what I do.
not to cut you
I'm
off.
gonna,
Something that you
yeah,
just had mentioned, I'm so intrigued to hear. Because I previously had somebody on my show a couple weeks ago, and his name was Wally Barthay. And he's actually a professor I think he was in, I can't remember the town of New Jersey, but he's a professor in one of the colleges of New Jersey. And with that
okay,
being said, currently, he had pretty much given me a lesson on my show about all the like the white noise, the brown noise, and how everything can work, right? So I was more mind blown than anything. So what you had just mentioned to me, where it also gives the opportunity for you being a nurse and you working with a certain type of music that can help. Please tell me more. I'm so intrigued. I would love to exactly know what you were talking about, explaining wise.
so well, now that I've been singing for a lot of years.
Of
There's
course.
actually a program here in Pittsburgh called Music Smiles, and it's run by Annie Pugar. Years ago, her and her husband, who he was a drummer,
Okay.
And they formed this program, and what they would do is have musicians go and sing at different hospitals, nursing homes, what have you. Unfortunately, Sonny, her husband, he developed pancreatic cancer and he passed away
Oh no.
some years ago. And, I had told Annie, I said, it must be God or somebody. I said, because I'm an outpatient nurse. I've always dealt in surgical oncology,
Okay.
but now I'm an outpatient nurse and we deal with pancreatic, colon, and rectal cancer. And I told her, even though my two cancers, they were breast, is not the same, the trials and tribulations are the same. And
Very true.
I, every time Annie calls me, I try to make, time to go and sing. My favorite place to go sing out of any festival, any venue, any wedding. I love my friends out there, no offense. And everybody should know this about me. I love performing at our children's hospital, hands down.
That's
I
beautiful. Oh my God,
absolutely love it
beautiful.
because every time I go there, and the last time that I was there was right before we shut down for COVID in 2020.
Yeah,
And I'm going to tell you, this little girl, she had her IVs and, tubes everywhere. And her parents looked so tired. And I felt bad for all three of them. But, I had, being a nurse, I had to not have that expression on my face. So I was singing, performing with my band. And the last song that I did was I Can See Clearly Now. And I always invite people to sing. And it's very interesting. She was sitting there most of the time. And then all of a sudden, I went over, had a 100-foot cord. And I said, come on, sing with me. It's nobody else but us. But there were other patients, families.
of course.
There were workers in the hospital. And we were singing. That was the longest 9-minute song. And it's not 9 minutes. But I loved it. And she had fun. And her parents came up to me afterwards and they're like, thank you. I said, you are welcome. I said, looks like you guys could use that. And she definitely could use it. I said, she might be a singer. Watch out. And they laughed and they said that was the liveliest that they had seen her since she had been in the hospital. And I didn't ask how long she had been there. And my heart melted. It just absolutely melted. And I hugged all three of them. And I said, I hope to come back soon. But well, of course, here's COVID, back then.
Yes, yes.
But I performed there and I absolutely love it because the parents, you know, you can look at them, their physical being. They're worn down, but they have to stay strong for the sake of their child or children.
Yeah, depending on the
And then
situation.
two, yeah, depending upon the situation. And then two, there's the kids. Yes, they look sick, and it's like, oh my God, I just want to hold them. But you can't do that. But the
Mhm.
kids are trying to be strong for the sake of the parents, and it's so you have this double-edged sword, and it's like, got to do something. And music makes people, for the most part, forget about their troubles, their woes. It does. I've seen it.
100%. It's like just a little break from reality.
Right,
Medicine.
exactly. And it does something. It gets those endorphins going. It just does something to you mentally, emotionally. I say heart, physically, and some people spiritually. So
It has a calling.
I,
Each person has something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So I want to ask you now because we consistently talk a little bit about your band, and I know that you're part of it. How did you get to be a part of your band, or who are your members as well in the band? To give them a shout out.
Okay. Well, I have two bands. And they
Okay.
are a part of me. So, so I finally left the first band that I had joined, Blues Music Work, or BMW, like the car, in the early 2000s, and I went off to form Blue Phase. So about 2009, had this band, blues band,
Okay.
and so we were called Blue Phase, and then a few years later it turned to Miss Freddie's Blues Band. So, shout out to G Man, my guitar player, Greg Casil, and my bass player. I call him Big Z, One of our musician friends in Pittsburgh named him Big Sexy. Have no idea why. I don't want to know. That's for
That
him
is
and his girlfriend to figure out.
yes.
And shout out to Bob Powers, who plays lap steel. And of course, there's Mickey D. He's on drums. And then I have my Miss Freddie's Home Cooking Band. Shout out to Mike Houston on guitar and Jeff Connors on keyboards. He plays guitar. Those two play every instrument known to man. So, and then, of course, Big Z, Greg Sacco, again, he plays bass in both bands. And my percussionist is Bob DeCola, and he plays congas, and sometimes he'll play the drum kit.
Okay.
Depends.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a little
yeah,
Hawaiian for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool. It depends upon the venue and what people are looking for. Now, the home cooking band spins off into a third band, the gospel band called Glory Be.
Oh wow.
So
Okay, so
yeah,
gospel
yeah.
is taking you back to church?
Kind of, yeah, yeah. We do. It depends. So we may do something for a revival or a church. Matter
Okay.
of fact, we're going to be doing something in, oh, please forgive me, Mark, in Cadiz, Ohio, a few months down the road. It's a gospel show. So we're contracted to do something on the side. One of my guys will perform for there's a church here in Pittsburgh that's run by Pastor Greg Spencer. And I've been coming to his church, like do a couple songs for the morning service. So
I'd like to open it.
I, yeah, yeah, it's my schedule is insane. I tell people, don't even ask me.
I'm
You have
about
to
to
go on
ask
the website and look.
well, I wanted to ask you, regardless of your schedule, because you're in all these amazing bands, right? Let's talk about
Yes.
how you got the opportunity to meet the people that you're in the bands with.
So the blues band, um, this blues band with these members,
This is the
G
blue.
Man. This is the blues band. Yeah, this band. So G Man, he was actually in my first band
Okay.
back in '96, and I saw the band play a couple times, and I'm like, he's a great guitar player. So as I was coming in the band, he was leaving, and so fast forward, the young guitar player who was playing for me, he was leaving. He wanted to go form his own band, and I get it. Because that's what I did.
Yes.
And the bass player at the time, or the drummer, they told me, hey, we got this guitar player. We'll have him come and, try out. So this guy walks in and he starts playing. I said, I know that guitar playing. And I said, excuse me, who are you? And he told me, and I said, oh my God, you're hired. I know you.
Oh wow, that was like perfect timing. Like it was
Yeah,
meant
and
to
that
be
was,
exactly.
yes, it was meant to be. It was 2009. I said, oh my God, yes, please. So that's how G Man, and we've been in band together ever since. And Big Z, Greg, the bass player,
The sexy
he,
one. The
yeah,
sexy.
yep, Big Sexy. We call him Big Sexy. Well, they call him Big Sexy. I'm like, dude, I'm calling you Big Z. But he used to run sound for me at this winery that I sing every year in the summertime. And then I've had a couple bass players, come and go for the blues band. And I had mentioned, hey, I need a bass player. Do you know anybody? He said, well, what about me? I said, oh, okay. So he played a little bit and I said, oh, okay, it's cool. So here he is. So Greg's been with me probably about, oh gosh, 10 years or more, like both of them, whenever. And so that's how he came about. The lap steel guitar player, Bob, I call him Bobby Deal on lap steel, but his
Okay.
name is Bob Powers. G-Man, my guitar player, knew of him and mentioned him, and I heard him play. And I love lap steel. Lap steel, you usually see country, but I said lap steel worked for blues, so that's how he came about.
Okay.
And then Mick on drums, Mickey D, Tim McDermott. G-Man knew him because I was looking for a drummer, drummers, in and out. And he, heard Mick playing an open jam. I said, okay. And so that's how I got those guys and that band.
Really, what I love the most about that though too was how you had asked somebody, if I'm not mistaken, and they said, "Why don't you just ask me?" Like
Yes.
they
Yes.
incorporated themselves before you even had to look.
Yes.
You I
Yes.
thought that
That,
was really
yes.
funny in this story. But it
Yeah,
sounds
that
like
was my bass player. Yeah. Yeah.
that your band had like come together the way you wanted it to be, right? So
Yes.
certain people
Yeah.
that you probably all bond, and good communication and connection. That's a
Right.
huge,
Right.
huge goal and accomplishment as well in bands. Because
Right.
it's fun when you have, a little bit of time here and a little bit of time here, and you have to play this whole set and shorten it
Right.
down and work on different, types of songs and change the
Yeah.
certain melodies and stuff like that too, especially to fit your voice, right? To
Yeah.
accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I like my home cooking band, my other band, Mike Houston. Mike and I have known each other since I joined my first band. And
Okay.
then when I left to form my first band, Blue Phase, Mike was my guitar player. And then he flipped over to be my bass player. Because Mike he's a bass player by trade, but he plays guitar, piano, trumpet, mandolin, you name it, he plays it.
Oh
I
my
have to ask him if he plays violin, cello, viola, or, upright bass.
Oh my God, he does it.
Um, I don't know, but I'm going to ask him if he does do that. And Jeff, my keyboard player, I've known Jeff and Jeff and Mike are best friends. So Mike had mentioned, bringing Jeff aboard, and Jeff's great. He's a great, harmonizer. I have learned to harmonize so much better. And he knows, like, if I sing something, because I'm still trying to learn what key I'm in, but he's like, oh, you're in the key of D. Oh, you're in the key of B flat. He's like, oh, B will work. So that's how Jeff came about. And then, of course, Big Sexy, Greg, he came along. I needed a bass player. And
Yes.
so he came along. And then Bob, I've known Bob DeCola, my percussionist, for years. So Bob came, way of someone had suggested him. I think it was Mike. But I'll probably stand corrected because those guys have been with me so long too.
Oh, I love that. I'm actually curious as well to find out more about the home cooking band too. What type of music is it? Still blues that you? Because when you say the name, it reminds me of a little bit of actually country, honestly.
Oh, that's interesting you say that. So with the home cooking band, we do blues, classic rock, gospel, and I do some country.
Okay, because I mean, home cooking, like has to be home cooking type of like country rock type of music. I felt like that kind of had an idea of what the title should be.
Right. Right.
With the home cooking band, because you're in all these bands, right? How are you still trying to be a mother? This is insane, Mr. Freddie. Oh my gosh.
You know what? I'm a multitasker, which sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not. But I have learned to, I have to take care of my house, definitely take care of my youngest. He lives with me, even though he's an adult now. And with the two bands, and then doing the solo act, and then doing the trio act. And it can be a bit much, but I have learned to what takes priority and what days of the week I can do what. So it's not as hard as it used to be. I'm used to doing it. It's like clockwork. It's second nature with me.
No, it is.
Yeah, like 10, 15 years ago, it's like, oh my, because I used to say, okay, this is the last year I'm going to do this. And after that, I'm going to quit singing. I'm not doing anything else more. I'd rather be a booking agent because I love to book. I
Oh
absolutely love to
wow.
book.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I've had some of my musician friends in Pittsburgh, like, could you book for me? I said, absolutely not. I work full time. I have my son. I have two bands, a solo act trio. And I said, no way.
oh my God. Well, you made time to be on the Dani Perro show. I'm so blessed. Thank you. That's a
You're
good
welcome.
job. That's so sweet of you. You took time out of your busy schedule to be on. So thank you. That's so sweet.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, you know what? Everything is not going to start up till Friday. because that's
Okay.
my first gig of the year, and then it's going to be a domino effect. I have one more gig in March, and then I have a couple in April, and then from May to October, I have a gig every weekend, every single weekend.
Oof.
And
And is it
then
all
some gigs during the week.
are they all in Pittsburgh? Are they in different states?
They're most are in Pittsburgh, most are outside of Pittsburgh, like north of here.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I have a couple in Ohio that I'm going to be doing. Um, so it's a little busy. I
Will
try
you,
not to think about it.
will you be coming to New Jersey anytime soon? That's where we're located.
No, but I got an invite to come to New Jersey. So I said, well, my schedule was pretty much done for the year, but I'm looking at coming to Jersey because I know there's a couple festivals. So I'm going to put my
I think
bid
we
in. This is
follow up with them immediately, and we can get you back on the station in the studio. That way, I'm not at home, and we're in the studio together.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You know
I
what?
would love
Another
to.
right now from New Jersey, from the Dani Perro show.
I would love to come. Because Jersey, I used to travel there with my bass player boyfriend years ago because he had family in Jersey.
Okay.
So it was nothing for us to hop in the car and it would take us like 6, 7 hours, because we probably would stop.
Wow, I love
Um,
your enthusiasm. I'm gonna let you do that tonight, right? No, I'm just kidding. Where did you travel in New Jersey? Like where was
Camden.
Oh,
He had family in Camden.
okay, that was
Yeah.
actually by Chris, my booking manager as well.
Oh,
He's by
okay.
like Mount Laurel area, so it was like Camden is not that far from him. He's closer. I'm by like Trenton area.
Oh, okay. I've heard of Trenton. I've never been there, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So
Now,
that's
I had one of my aunts, she passed away because she moved back to Pittsburgh. She lived in Jersey, but I was never sure of like where. And I have family. I have one that lives in Jersey somewhere, like cousin, and the other cousin lives across the river. Like I guess you can see Manhattan from wherever you're standing at in Jersey,
Edison, something like maybe Edison area. No, is that North
I
Jersey?
guess.
North Jersey. So just say she lives in North Jersey.
Closer to the
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Never been to that part, never, but
Have
I'm
you been to
always up for like a travel.
Have you been to New York?
Only to Buffalo, and that's for somebody else's family reunion. But I've never been
What?
to New York City or, that side of New York.
Okay, because we got to get you some gigs out there too, but after your busy schedule, so we can book the schedule into the new year.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's amazing. So I'm so interested to know as well, how did you get a chance to connect with Michael Stover? I know he gave us the opportunity to have you as well today on the station.
Yeah, and I have to give, mad props. Thank you, Michael. So, we both have the same last name. I don't know, a lot of people will notice that because we were like, are you related? I said, no, we're not. But Michael and I were Facebook friends
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
And so my PR guy that I had, he had passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And yeah, he passed away. And thank you. And so one of the musicians that Michael also represents, I went to him, I said, hey, do you know a PR person, I'm trying to hook up with? And he mentioned Michael, and I reached out to Michael, and here I am.
Oh,
When
wow.
I first started with Michael, oh my God, I had interviews up the wazoo. It was like every week, I'm like, I'm working the two bands. I don't know if I can do this. And then after a while, I said, oh, I can do this. I'm good.
So it was probably overwhelming at first, but it's
It
something that
was.
makes you more comfortable. Now I feel like if you
Yes.
don't have an interview, you're going to be like, what the heck's going on? Because you're so used to it, right? So you don't want that to like change as much.
I am. And I know one of my friends, she was a publicist, and I was with her for a little bit because her thing is blues, obviously. And she had listened to my interviews in the beginning, and she said, there's a few things you need to stop doing. I already knew. Number one, She counted, she said 50 ums. And I said, "Oh man, are you kidding me?" And it was something else I was doing. And I said, "Okay, I will work on that."
Oh, the stuttering. Well, that just comes in time when you're trying to feel comfortable in who you're talking to. I feel like
Yes.
once you know who the person is and how bubbly and socializable, we
Yeah,
are with our conversation, you can be real. You can be free.
absolutely.
You can fly. It kind of feels like that conversation. So you don't have to
Yeah,
feel like you
yeah.
have to go, yeah, anything to me because I understand completely. And again, what we are wanting to do with you, especially when we get you to come to the studio, is get over that stage fright. That's going to be something huge for you. And you'll see the amazing accomplishment that you started. Like, you'll be
You
like,
know what?
oh my
I
gosh, what happened?
I, I kind of a little bit I did just a little because you know what? Like I said, in my heart, and I always pray. I pray every day, but I pray before the show,
Yeah,
and I ask to be given enough strength and enough courage to go out there and to let the audience forget about their issues, their troubles. And I feel so much better, when I do that because there are a few people along my line, along the line have come up to me and said, "Miss Freddie, I didn't like blues, but man, I'm a fan." I said, "That's great." I said that's absolutely great. And I've had people who brought their friends and say, "Miss Freddie, so and so didn't like blues, but wow, they heard you." And I said, that is what I want.
that's
I
what it is.
want people to listen. They've been paying attention. They have. So I'm all for it. Stage fright. Will it ever be completely gone? I mean, not really. Because even at work, when I'm doing my patient education, I'm a little, yeah,
Shaky.
yeah, a little bit. And then as 5 minutes go by, I remind myself, this is not for me. This is for them.
Very true.
So,
See, but you say you stick to your morals at your job, right? And the other thing
yes.
is too, I mean, I don't know how strict it was with being a nurse or anything too. Did they ever let you promote yourself as a musician? Or did you ever try to besides the one time when you were singing? Or no?
So what happened probably about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there's a local newspaper that wanted to interview me. And of course, with working for a hospital, healthcare system, you have to go through media and everything and make sure it's okay and the boss. And it was. And it talked about the music that I did, because this was around the time that I was nominated for one, two, three or four for the Blues Music Awards. I didn't win, but it was big nomination. It was my first time ever.
Is the Pittsburgh
So,
Medical Center? Is this the one you're talking about? The Pittsburgh Medical VA Center?
oh no, I work for University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, UPMC.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And, at the time, the interview probably was like 3 years ago, something like that. And so they wanted to incorporate the music and the fact that I was a nurse. And there's actually pictures online with me with my lab coat, and I'm standing outside the building where I work at.
Okay.
So there's never a big conflict. And I've also, I'm putting the surgeon that I work for, I'm putting him on notice. He has come to hear me sing, which I said, you remind me of my family. When my family comes to hear me sing, and I'm talking about my siblings, nieces, and nephews, I get very nervous.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is the stage fright talking, right?
Yes, this is the stage where I'm talking, but then I get over it because, like I said, I remind myself, it is not about you. Stop it. Just
Yes,
continue what you're doing.
correct. But the other thing not to cut you off, the other thing is the way you want to also take that persona, you want to take that mind, as you want to say, this is what I want to do. Obviously, your family will not judge you. They're there to support you. So you have to change that negative in your head, being, they're here for me. They want to hear me sing. No, don't get too
Right,
happy because you don't want to mess up and then feel like,
right,
you messed up on their watch. But you want to
exactly.
to where you have faith in yourself and they can see it like shining through you. That's exactly
Yeah,
what you do as a musician. So that takes
exactly.
but you just have to change your critique a little within
Yeah.
time. But also being in so many, different bands that you're doing, you have different styles of music that you're working with. So you probably have like a headache from this to this to this to this. So it's hard for you to clear your mind a little and step back from the picture and understand this is something you want to do. This is something that you love showing and sharing with the world and God's amazing gift he gave you, what you want to do with it. You just have to remember that, you got this. You have faith in yourself. And knowing
Right.
that, you will eventually accomplish so much more than you think.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because the advice that you just gave me, I kind of give that to, you know, musicians that are coming up who like come up and ask me, or parents with their kids. It's
Yes,
like, my daughter wants to sing. How do you get started? I said, well, what you do is you start eating right, you start getting enough rest, stop stressing out. You're too young for that, and find a really good vocal coach, because that's important.
that is.
There are a lot of great vocal coaches, but when I say a really great vocal coach, that coach is going to see something in you. And if you're just not cut out for it, that coach is going to tell you. That's the kind of coach that I want. And I actually did take lessons off a couple ladies here in Pittsburgh, but with my
Oh,
time and everything, I just couldn't continue it because I
oh,
want to know the mechanics. One was a nurse, and I told her I want to learn the mechanics, because of what I was doing. And I learned a lot. And the other one, she plays for a church I used to go and do a couple songs on some Sundays. She's a music like professor. She looked at me, she's like, "You're a soprano." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I couldn't be a soprano. Not that." I've been in denial for years. I knew I was a soprano. And I said, "How can you tell?" She said, "Your jawbone." She's like, "The shape of your face." And, she said, "I can show you some things." And she did. She taught me the angel wings. And even when I'm sitting, I try not to slouch, but I do. But, do your
so
angel
it's
wings, Yeah.
yeah,
And by me taking both of those ladies' advice, I noticed I can sing longer, I can hold notes longer, I can bend notes.
that's amazing.
And it's amazing. And then there's some other tricks. Like I don't like to drink cold water anymore. And as a nurse, I know, yeah, it'll kind of like freeze your vocal cords a little bit. But when it relax, yeah, you'll get off. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of stuff I don't eat before I sing. There's just a lot of tricks that I didn't realize throughout my
Well,
career as a musician.
let me ask you this, because being a musician myself as well, I actually had trained opera when I was younger as a soprano.
Okay.
So a huge part, knowing about the industry of where you're wanting to grow in, you find out that you can't have milk. You find out that you can't have a lot of this because it's going to create a lot of mucus while you're singing. Now,
Yes.
obviously, this is something that you love doing. This is something that you want to portray. You want to continue your life with it. Was there anything in the beginning that you felt like when they told you you couldn't do as a musician, you're like, you're kidding? Like you just sat back and you were like, is this a joke? Because I mean, okay, drinking a milkshake before singing, I totally understand. But like a cup of milk just to like a refresh, you can't have?
So I have to be honest. So, and I stopped drinking soda. People
Okay.
call it soda pop. I would alternate between Pepsi and a Coke, and I would have one, during the gig, before the gig, after the gig. That is a big no-no, because that carbonation, and I'm a
Yeah.
nurse and I know this, and I'm a gastrointestinal surgery nurse. I should know better. It builds up the gas in your system, and you're going to be burping and whatever else comes.
Acid
And
reflux.
yes, yes. And I said, "You got to be kidding, right?" They're like, "You can't do that." And I didn't realize that, and I always wondered. And I try to hold it in when I'm singing, knowing that it's going to come out wrong. That's why I don't eat before I sing. I'll
Okay.
wait till afterwards, or I'll eat like 3 or 4 hours before I sing. But yeah, the Pepsi, when I was drinking the soda, that was the big thing. And I just said, "You got to be kidding me." It's
Was
the
it,
caffeine in it.
that's what I was gonna say. Was it the caffeine though that you wanted before you knew more about the bubbles bothering you?
It was because I'm a 2 cup a day coffee drinker, and I don't like drinking my coffee that late at night. And when
Okay.
I say that late, I try not to have the second cup, like caffeine, after 12 noon. So if I want coffee, it's decaf. And so, with the Pepsi, I said, oh, well, it's a Pepsi. It'll give me a little bit of energy because I don't do energy drinks.
Yeah, me neither. They're all garbage. As a nurse, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I know that. Yes, yes. And so I said, and when I was told that, I said, you got to be kidding me. How am I supposed to keep my energy up? Well, there's other things that I do, at least a few days. I mean, I do mild exercises every day when I wake up before I go to work. I
Okay.
meditate a lot. I do deep breathing exercises.
That's
Before
good.
the show,
Mhm.
deep breathing exercises. I do, I'll just meditate and I'll just relax my whole body as if I'm at Paradise Island in the Bahamas.
Oh, that's beautiful. That really is.
Yeah.
And then another amazing thing that you're doing too, as you're warming up and getting ready for your next show, is having the mentality of you knowing what you want to go, like where you're going next. So, like, you're set, you have everything, accomplished, everything is done. Your mic sounds good, the sound check went good, So, if you have all that in your head, check, 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 you'll have an amazing show. Obviously,
Yes.
glitches and mistakes happen shortly, regardless of the situation. But
Yeah.
that's something that's not in your control. That's something that's not going to affect you in your show.
Right. Right. And there have been shows, and I'm telling you, um, I say, I'm telling you, like, all of a sudden the sound sounds crappy, like if somebody else is running the sound for us.
Yeah.
And I just trudge along. I don't miss a beat because I have seen musicians, national acts, international, local, and regional, that they flip a new one. They are not happy. But I try not to do that. Number one, no, I don't do that because number one, I can talk to the sound person or whatever's going on after the show,
Yeah.
you know,
You don't
um,
want
because usually what happens, they'll run up to me after the show. It's like, oh, Miss Freddie's so sorry, this happened. I said, don't worry about it. Things happen. I
yeah,
said, I
exactly.
didn't die. You didn't die. We live on, you know.
Perfect way to
But yeah, yeah, I've had instances where, let me see, I've had so much happen. Oh, so a couple years ago, at summertime, I was singing with a friend who had a band. They were doing a birthday party. And I felt bad for them. There were so many glitches going on, and I just felt so bad. And so someone I knew who was at the party came up and they're like, well, first of all, they had never heard me sing till that night because they were shocked. And they're
Okay.
like, you are so calm. I said, well, first of all, A, it's not my gig. And I said, B, if it was my gig, things happen, but you learn to work around that. And I said, see, somebody might want to book me. I said, or, because he was friends with the my friend musician. And I said, this shows people that there's a certain way that you act and people will want you to come back and work with them or the hotel that we were playing at, maybe they want to book me or something, so
Collaboration. Exactly.
yes,
Sponsorship.
yes,
Everything is out there
yes,
after you perform. You never know how amazing your performance can be until somebody comes up
yes,
afterwards and says, do you want to be on American Idol? Do you want to be on Broadway? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? That's the opportunities you're looking for.
yeah, yeah,
So you're looking for somebody to come up to you in a show and give you the news that you weren't ever expecting to hear and probably magically start crying immediately, emotionally,
yes, yes. Yeah, every time I'm grateful or something goes on and I give thanks, like I music opportunities, come my way, which I
Yeah.
am always grateful for. But like I tell people, I do my own booking for both bands. So I said I am already starting to look at 2025. Um, and I
Come to New
said,
Jersey.
yeah, I said, if you know of a date that you have in mind, I will leave that date open. But
Okay.
if something comes up, And a lot of people, the venues and the festivals that I book, they know me. They're like, okay, are you available? I had to turn down a couple because I'm already booked. Like
Okay.
I start booking. I don't wait till the last minute. Number one, that's not a good idea because you
Mhm.
may not get into like a venue you've always wanted to get in. You've been trying to get in. That's one if you're doing your own bookings. And number two, keep bugging those people. Yeah, you may think you're being a pest and they'll tell you that, but so what? You got something you want them to hear and want them to see. So,
Oh, 100%. Bug the hell out of them. Are you kidding me?
yes,
You definitely want
yes,
to because you never know what's next. Well, I feel like
true.
as a musician and as an artist or anyone out there, we don't know when our next amazing big spotlight is going to come on us, right? We live our
That's
day
right.
every day just normal in general.
Yes.
Anything can happen. Somebody can contact you, somebody can call you, meet you out in public, anything. So when you have an opportunity like that, you don't want to miss it. And even if it feels eerie, you always want to go with your gut in general, but you
Right.
never want to miss an opportunity like that because you never know what's going to come out of it.
Right. You're exactly right. So, and I try to, I really work at leaving dates open because what
Okay.
I'll look at if there's a festival I'm interested in doing, I'll go by. They may not have posted yet what say like this year. That this I'm just using this as an example. What this year may be, but I'll look back and see their dates for a festival the year before. So I'll try to leave that date open, and then I'm reaching out, but I tell you, it's like clockwork. And I am so grateful to the club owners, the venues, the festivals that, you want me to come and perform. I'm so happy, about that because I used to have to chomp at the bit and get out there and hit the bricks and sing
Yeah.
a cappella. I had nothing, no demo or anything, sing a cappella to see if they like me. Well, now people are calling me, emailing me, texting me, hey, are you open? Can and I love that. But you still have to work at, getting out there and still finding venues to play at. So,
100%. Well, before we get ready to end the show shortly, please give out your social media and your website where everyone can find your amazing music that we have as well.
well, thank you. So you can find my music on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. And you can find me on Facebook, Miss Freddie. Just go to my musician page and follow me and like what I do. And you can find me on my website if you want to look at all my shows. And trust me, I have several more shows I have to put on there. Yeah, it's
But
Miss
this
Freddie,
time's not updated. Yes.
MissFreddie.com, MissFreddye.com. And find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Miss Freddie 17. And I'm on Instagram, Freddie Stover's Blues.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you. I'm hoping next time we talk, when your schedule is open, we could get you to come down to the studio, even if it's with your band, one of your bands or just yourself. Just give you the
Yeah,
opportunity to promote and perform live, acoustic wise. You have that opportunity too. So we're inviting you to New Jersey.
well, thank you. And I want to give a shout out again, once again, to you all. Thank you so much for what you do. I do appreciate it. And to Michael Stover, he's a great PR guy and he will work his tail off for the musician. You just have to do the same.
I'm sure
And,
he's really
you
good at
know,
recruiting, to give me the
yes,
artist and send me other information and everything I need and to listen to you guys. And I just have to say, beautiful voice. Really love it. And even for
thank
being
you.
Lady of the Blues, I know we didn't get a chance to talk that much about your music too, but we definitely will. It's more the fact that like your reverb, like your voice is insane and beautiful with the blues.
Oh,
It's more of like you have your own mix where you know what you're putting in it, you know exactly how you want it, and
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do.
So I appreciate your time, being with me today as well, giving me the opportunity to talk to you, finding out you're a nurse and everything that you do, and also giving back to the community because I know that's a huge part of your role as well into the industry.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you again. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And please make sure you guys check out Miss Freddye. Amazing. And I'm sure she has a lot of new upcoming gigs and music coming out. So just stay tuned. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Let me just end this straight.